Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to a very special extra interview of Final Cut. Today, I'm joined by an actor who has starred in, well, it feels like everything, to be honest. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Jeff Davis.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate you taking some time to talk to me.
The honour is all mine, sir. So, I guess inevitably the first question is, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Surviving this whole coronavirus and trying to make a positive out of it.
As we all are, sir, as we all are. Now, let's talk about how you got into acting, because originally you were a handyman, weren't you?
Well, actually, I started out, when I was young, I got out of high school, I started out as a race car driver.
Oh.
And that was my first passion. And then somehow, along the way, I fell into dabbled at acting a little bit, and I kind of liked it, but I come from a small town in Maine, and leaving Maine was not something that people did. It's a small town, and people born there die there. But somehow I saw this woman that I knew on TV, and I said, that's what I want to do, and I can do it if she can do it. So I flew to Los Angeles and just dove in head over heels. And the handyman work actually came because when you're an actor, starting out, you need a survival job, one to pay the bills. And luckily, growing up in a small town, I had worked as an electrician for a while, and my dad was a carpenter, and so I started fixing things for people, and turned out a lot of them were some of the elite in Hollywood. So it worked out good for me and for them, and it helped me to continue chasing my dreams, so to speak.
Now, I've actually read this somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, that's why I just want to ask you this. Didn't you do jobs for Meg Ryan, Diane Keaton, Courtney-Cox and David Spade, to name but a few?
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
I still work with David a little bit.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What's he like, anyway?
David's quiet, believe it or not.
Really?
These comedians, you just expect them to be on all the time, but he's somewhat of an introvert. Real nice guy. But he's kind of quiet to himself.
I bet a lot of people hearing that will think that's a bit hard to believe. But then again, you do you have worked with the guy, you know him, you've been around him, so you would know better than anyone. But yeah, sometimes it is just a bit hard to believe, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
But I will take your word for it. After all, like I said, you've known him, so you would know. Right. So, what did any of I'll say your clients say to make you go into acting, and what made you yourself take it up?
Well, I was already before I started doing the handyman work. I was already pursuing an acting career, so they were just along the way, kind of supported me as I was auditioning and starting to book a few jobs here and there. And I still do a little bit of it today when I'm not acting. I do a little bit of handyman work. So it's it's a balancing act. So,
this is what you call selling. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say this is what selling yourself is. You're a handyman. You can repair anything, and you're an actor. What else can you do, sir?
You name it. Like I said, I used to race cars, so I built my own cars. I can weld. My uncle and I built my engine.
Wow.
As a handyman, I can do pretty much anything in the construction world. Now I'm actually, as an actor, to get more work, I'm branching off into producing and directing. Hopefully this coming year, I got a film I'm going to be directing. So yeah, I can, you name it, I think I can do it.
There you go. That's almost like a CV. So it's like, what's on your CV, sir? Everything? Pretty much. Right, so obviously when people grow up and they want to be an actor, somebody or some people inspire them. So who are your influences?
Well, I think one of my biggest influences and who I would like to be most remembered like, I think, is probably Gary Oldman.
Ooh.
I love the way he just becomes every character. I mean, for years, I think you'd ask someone, until recently, you asked someone who Gary Oldman was, and they've seen him in everything, but most people didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
He's that good, and that's kind of what I'd like to be. I'd like to be a chameleon. I don't care about being a movie star. I just want to be an actor who works.
Now, TV-wise, you've done The West Wing, Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Code Black, Pretender, Mentalist, 30 Reasons Why, Station 19, Criminal Minds, and SWAT. So you've done a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. It's been about 25 years of actually working in the TV industry, in the film industry, as far as working. I started a couple years before that, but I had never done anything, no training, no background, nothing. So it took me a while. I mean, I learned by doing. So I started out just doing any little acting job I could get, whether it be, I did some background, background work, and then I did some student films and little low budget movies and whatever it takes to learn my craft.
And happy, or say 30 years in the business. Happy 30 years in the business.
Thank you, sir. It's
so
close.
Yeah.
Not quite, but
near enough. Yeah. Not going to say. I don't think we're going to argue over a few years, are we? Let's be honest.
No.
So you've also been in the Lethal Weapon TV series as well. What was it like being opposite Damon Wayans and being in that show? Bearing in mind it was actually based on the iconic, I'll say quadrilogy, but I didn't really like Lethal Weapon 4 that much, so to me it's just a trilogy.
Yeah, well, you know what? Damon was actually really cool. Again, not as much of a comedian on set as you would think for someone who was a funny guy, but he took his work seriously. He was prepared, and when he got on set, he worked, and when off set, he joked around a little bit. He had a camera. He was practicing his photography skills, so he was playing around with that a little bit. And actually, we chit chatted a bit, and I got some pictures with him, which I don't do very often. I don't know why. All the people I've worked with, and I've got very few photographs. I mean, why? Who knows why? I was never a fanboy, I guess. So, but I did get Damon to snap a picture with me, which was nice.
Nice selfie for the social media. Why not?
Yeah. Social media's taken over, so I've got to start doing more of that.
I know how you feel. I don't really do as much as I should, but I am sort of getting there. But I'm still sort of like a probie, if you like, in terms of social. Yeah. I need to. I'm learning off my lady, because she is like the social media queen in our relationship. So I'm still learning.
Oh, good. You've got someone to learn from. That's
I have.
I don't.
So at the minute, you have Ratched out on Netflix. So what's it about, and what's your role in it?
I play a police captain in the 1940s.
Ooh.
Basically, the show takes place in the 40s. It's a prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it is the story of how Nurse Ratched becomes the evil monster that she becomes. And it starts out in 1940s when she was a young woman just starting her nursing career. And then next season, I believe, will be in the 50s, and the following season, the 60s, which leads you up to the movie. I was just in a couple scenes as a police captain, but great experience, a great cast. It's an amazing project, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. I know it's 2020 and there's not really that much been out, but what are you more looking forward to appearing in this year? Because isn't SWAT this year, or is it next year with new series?
No, SWAT was already released.
Oh, was it released, was it?
Yeah, and I did 13 Reasons Why, and that was already released. So Ratched was the last one. That one was just released. So other than that, I've got 2 feature films coming out. One, I believe, called Outrage, that I star in. It's an action film. Real low-budget, independent, but a fun little action film with bikers and martial arts fights.
Ooh.
And my daughter gets kidnapped, and I call on some friends to help get her back. And that's going to be, I believe it's going to be released first on Amazon. Amazon. So that should be soon. I'll be hopefully got some news on that soon. And then I did a Western called Showdown on the Brazos, where I play a preacher. And that one, just finishing up post-production, hopefully early next year, that will be out.
Ooh. Will that one be on Amazon as well?
I'm not sure what they're doing. Right now, they're still looking for distribution. Not sure where it's going to go. But the action one, he wants to get that out because he's getting ready to start his next film, and it'll help to get this one out to get everything in place for the next one. So.
Yep. So just this next part is just a little section I'd like your insight into. Considering you are an actor, producer, director, I kind of feel that you would actually have the best expertise for this. So.
Okay.
So, what advice would you give someone who feels like they're getting nowhere with their entertainment career and is ready for calling it quits?
You know what? I never was at a point where I wanted to call it quits. I think when I started, I made up my mind. This is what I'm going to do. And it's been up and down and slow. I mean, I had kids early on. I got married and had my sons. So there were some slow times where I was more of a parent than I was an actor.
Yeah.
But I never gave up, and I think that's find a way to pay your bills. Like I said, that's why I did the handyman work, because that way you're not surviving by acting. That way, when you're looking for acting work and you're auditioning, you're a little bit more relaxed. You don't have to have every job. You don't go in there with that. If I don't get this, I'm going to be done. I'm going to go home. You go in it with if I book this, great. If I don't, we'll go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And you just take it job by job. And in the meantime, like I said, I do whatever you can. If there's someone, someone's doing a little short film, it's a chance to act. Do it. You can't always be looking to pay your bills from acting. You got to learn to accept the fact that you got to sometimes work for little or no money.
Yeah. But
it's experience, and it's building that resume, which, most jobs you don't start that way, but acting is different. The entertainment world is a whole different world, and especially now with all the streaming, it's easier to actually, you can go out and shoot your own. If you've got some abilities, shoot something and put it on YouTube, make your own project. So
sound advice. So obviously, with the pandemic we're in, it's kind of brought theatres to a halt. So do you think like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Apple TV and Disney Plus are a future of, I'll say, movies, or do you think there's still a place in the world for cinemas?
I hope that cinemas are still going to be there, because there's some movies that just have to be seen on a big screen to be really appreciated. Especially the action films and some of these Hollywood, with the explosions and all that. They just belong on a big screen. So hopefully they survive all this, which I think they will. If they'll come back, and maybe even some drive-in movie theaters will open back up now, because that's a little bit safer.
Yeah. Well, Chris Nolan, I seem to recall, has actually said that he basically wants cinemas to stay open, simply because, to be fair, it's not really a Chris Nolan movie until you've watched it in IMAX. So there is that.
Absolutely, I agree, yeah.
Right, so outside of acting, directing, producing, and being a handyman, what are your passions and interests?
Basketball.
Ooh.
Love to play basketball. My son and I, and well, now with the pandemic, we don't get to, but we used to play in a couple of leagues, not leagues, but just groups of open gym where we would meet a bunch of guys and play a couple times a week if possible. Keeps me in shape, and it's just something that I can run up and down a basketball court for hours without even thinking about it. Whereas I can't just go out and jog or run. So it's something I just enjoy, and it just I forget everything else in the world when I'm out there doing that. So that's my thing.
That's fair enough then. Are you a Laker fan, by the way?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in Maine, so I grew up as a Boston fan.
Celtics. Dear.
So as a Celtics fan, you cannot ever do nothing but hate the Lakers. So when I moved to LA, and my sons grew up here, and they love basketball, so I've made them Clipper fans. We used to go to Clipper games. So we are Clipper fans.
I bet they're kind of wishing. I bet we've gone to you just so the Lakers have won the title and gone, Dad, why couldn't we be Lakers fans?
No, my sons are 22 and 24, and the 22-year-old isn't so much into it as he was when he was younger. The older one is a huge basketball fan, and he hates the Lakers with a passion, as I do.
Oh dear. Oh, good job of not talking about that. Yeah.
We would rather see the Lakers lose than the Clippers win. That's how bad it is.
You see, the thing is, granted I am in England, and I'm kind of like not as passionate, but we do have rivalries over here, like in Scotland, the Celtic and Rangers who can't stand each other. Manchester United and Liverpool hate each other's guts. Tottenham and Arsenal they just hate each other. Basically, it's kind of like, I'll say, if you were a Boston Celtics fan and you turned up to the Staples Center in a Sorry, if you were a Boston Celtics fan and you turned up at Staples Center in a Boston vest, that's kind of like the same reaction, if not more, that you would get over here if you went into Old Trafford with a Liverpool shirt on. In fact, I actually know a wrestler who did that. He had the biggest load of boos I've ever heard, and I thought only he would be brave enough to do that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, if they're playing each other,
yeah,
it's not that big a deal. You get here for the most part. Most places you go, you're allowed to go in and wear the uniform of your favorite team if they're playing. It looks pretty silly when you see some people go to the games and they're wearing a Celtics fan when the Lakers are playing Dallas. I mean that to me doesn't make much sense. But you don't get much guff. I mean people joke and people have fun with it, but it's not quite. I don't think like your football fans, as you call them.
Yeah. No, they're absolutely bonkers. They really are. In fact, I don't even know if bonkers covers it. It's more like mad. So what other projects have you got coming up, quarantine depending, aside from what you've already got coming up?
Well, I've got a little film called The Demons Within, which is a horror film.
Ooh, my specialty.
I'm producing and directing, so that's pretty exciting. It's about a 17-year-old girl who I'll play her dad, and she's kind of troubled and kind of got her own little problems, and so the demons find a way through her cell phone to enter her body and take over, possess her. It's kind of a modern day Exorcist, I guess you might say.
It's an ingenious way.
And then I've got a web series I'm working on right now. If all goes well, I just started working on it's a pilot for a TV series, but I'm going to break it down and shoot it as a web series and air it on YouTube. I might actually have a couple of those in the works. So, those are things that I could start working on at home, and I'm working back and forth with the writers and trying to get them ready so that as soon as we can start shooting safely, we'll start shooting.
Mm-hmm. That sounds intriguing and promising at the same time. What would you like the future to hold for you, both on a personal level and a professional level?
Well, luckily on a personal level, things are great. I've been married to be 25 years next month.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. My oldest son is doing well. He graduated college and is coaching lacrosse at a local high school and trying to decide really what he wants to do. My youngest is in his junior year in college as an electrical engineer, so they're doing well. So personally, we're all doing well. And then professionally, I would like to have. I'd like to continue to work consistently. That would be great. But I'd like to have a TV series. In the next 2 years, I'd like to be starring in my own TV series, or at least a. I don't have to be the main star, but I'd like to be on a regular basis, so I have steady work coming in. That would be nice.
Well, this year has actually brought up a lot of opportunities for various reasons and various purposes. So who knows? You might get your wish. I hope you do as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And last question, and everybody who is a fan of mine and knows what's coming next. So if people want to find you on social media, how would they go about it?
You can find me at J.F. Davis Actor. And that's going to be on, if you just punch that into Google, it'll bring up, I'm J.F. Davis Actor on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, across the board. And also I have my website is jfdavisactor.com.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. And on that, I present to you Jeff Davis. Thank you very much for coming on.
Dino, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The honour is all mine, sir.